Yeah, welcome to Market Monday for late November 2025. As usual, we do have the ODBR monthlies from October to look at, and then I have a couple articles I pulled up if we get to it, if we have time, and then of course we're always just kind of generally chatting about what we are experiencing in the market. Okay, so they always give us our little snapshot activity end of paragraph. I always summarize, but it jumps from national to local back to national. So overall, the U.S. has seen for October has seen home sales climb 1.5% over October of 2024 and 4.1% year over year, giving us a seasonally adjusted 4.06 million units. That is the number of homes that they're predicting would sell in the year, and that has gone up marginally. They were just hovering at 4 million recently. So another, what is that, 60,000 homes. But again, if you've listened to us on Market Monday, 4 million is a relatively low number of home sales. Yeah. So we're still in a little bit of a slightly stagnant residential home sale market. They're explaining this through mortgage rates, which recently have been the lowest they've been in, I think, several years now. And most predictions are that mortgage interest rates will continue to incrementally come down, heavily dependent on lots of dynamics. And this is not an economics class, but I think most real estate predictions are for still 6-ish% for a while. Might dip into the 5s, but you know, every 0.1% matters, but it's not like no one's thinking we're going to drop a full point or something anytime soon. So staying on the sidelines just for interest rates might not be in anyone's best interest, but it is still hard to pay 6% versus a 3% mortgage if you have it. So that's the discussion Jess and we've talked about for a couple of years now.
And what was happening at the same time is that we had super low inventory. Yep. So things were still able to maintain their price. So what I'm seeing, just glimpsing at this, which we'll go through, the inventory is now increasing so that the actual interest rate means something different.
Yep.
In that scenario.
Correct. That's correct. Again, now we're into local data. New listings are up 15.6% to 170, which is a fair number of listings for an October in upstate New York. Pendings continue to decrease. We've seen pending sales on the slide every month now for like 4 or 5 months. And inventory, like you said, that's the big stat outlier, or it's the big stat that's standing out to me, is that we continue to have an increase in inventory locally. So we're up another 27%, 626 available properties on the market in the ODBR. And then sale prices locally also in our region continue to really trend upward. I think we're pretty safely outside of the norms for this year. Some regions of the country have seen price drops. Many are relatively flat, but we, as you'll look at in a few minutes, but our median and average home price are bonkers. They are still going up significantly. Months supply of inventory, back to what we just said, is up 48.8% to almost 7 months of supply. So that's borderline buyer's market territory around here, which is fascinating to me. And then now we go back to national stats. Housing inventory has gone up 1.3% nationally, and that's 14% higher than the same time last year.
The year over year change is only 3.3%.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, which is still feels really low.
Well, that's yes. I mean, and there's something we don't really talk about with these numbers, but these are all actually inflation unadjusted numbers. So, and they're also seasonally unadjusted. So these are just data. But if you really think about it, inflation this year has been about 3%. So that median increase is just basically treading water, if you want to put it that way. But anyway, there are other parts of the country that are property owners have been losing equity in rapid pace in some sections of the country. So we're pretty buffered from that, but more and more inventory, power in buyers' hands, it does shift things quite a bit.
That's what we've been waiting for, that shift, talking about it and waiting for it. And All retch and no vomit.
Wow. Have not heard that.
Still happening.
Is that a common turn of phrase?
No, actually, Alan Watts said it once, and I thought it was awesome.
Okay.
If you don't know who Alan Watts is, Google.
All right. So back to our activity overview summary page. I like this page. The rest of this report, by the way, just goes into each of these in its own page, but this summary page is nice. New listings, by the way, as of the time they published this, was dead even from 2024 to 2025, literally to the number. So 0% change year to date. However, our October was significantly better than last October. So that's kind of nice to see.
Oh, it was a later year. We saw that. Like, it's every year it actually gets later. Like, what's happening? Like, next year it's going to be like September before we have any listings.
However, it's not all great news. Our pending sales continue to decrease. And we've talked about that for a few months now, but we're at 82 pending sales in the ODBR, according to this stat. And then again, for the year, we're down almost 10%, which just means that that's about 10% of these listings that are not selling, meaning they're still active inventory, which is why that inventory is increasing. We're adding listings and they're not selling as quickly, meaning it's piling up a bit.
Yes.
Closed sales month over month, not a tremendous change, but also closed sales are down again 10% for the year, very much in alignment with that pending decrease. So we're down sales overall locally.
Mm-hmm.
Days on market, pretty nothing I want to remark on there. I don't think 4 days is a huge difference between 62 and 58 for the year. I don't think that's too substantive. And then what is interesting though is that median price just talked about, the 3.3% median. We're actually up 7.6 for the year. And however, again, some of these average
doesn't make any sense.
Well, you can have a couple of outliers do skew.
That's usually what we chalk that up to, but it's been pretty consistent.
I mean, if you look at, you're right though, we said this last month where it was a spike and I was like, oh, that's a 1 month anomaly.
Nope.
And now it's your second month in a row where the average has really gone up a lot.
With inventory increasing, it makes no sense. It's totally bonkers.
It has to simply be a few higher end homes are closing. It just has to be. But yeah, I mean, again, if you just look at that average, we're up 10%. So your average home seller in the ODBR region is sitting well above inflation. They're making money, right? You're gaining a fair bit of equity every single day just by living in your house. It's kind of an interesting story. Oops, I didn't mean to go that far.
I know that you didn't say like the 4 days is much to comment on, but it did go down 4 days. Like increasing inventory, things are taking longer to sell, and days on market is less. Again, totally bonkers. This makes no sense. I love this. What are we supposed to do with this? Just keep doing your basic activities, folks. Just keep calling people and showing up and being there for everybody, and wish everybody a happy holiday season and see if they're ready to sell or buy or invest. Same shit, different day. Yeah, go ahead, Kaspar.
I was just wondering, is the home sale price up 10% too? Is that what you said?
Yeah, the average price. Yeah.
I just make sure I had that right.
Yeah, Kaspar. So that's an average for all of 2025 so far compared to all of 2024.
Right.
Up to October. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a year.
But that's all.
Year.
Is this just, again, just to be clear, is this just residential sales here? Does this include? Okay. Yep.
In DBR. Yeah. Percent list price has been one that I always not laugh at, but it just stays right in that kind of 95, 96, 97 range. I don't particularly think that moves the needle for me. However, the last 3 columns I do always find interesting. We are getting a little relief on housing affordability. That number going up is a good thing. Now that's month over month. However, we're still down for the year. It's been a tough year. How does that
make sense? See, the prices are going up. So how does that make sense?
Well, because affordability is this complex milieu of everyday costs of living, of interest rates, of mortgage rates, of inflation, of just general kind of U.S. economic pressures, cost of goods. So it's been a bad year in general for affordability, and housing is following that trend. Even though mortgage rates have come down a touch, we're still fighting against the tariff effect and just everything that's been going on. So, but anyway, it's an analysis of how easy it is to buy a house. And so,
Gary Keller will go over it, and I know he has his guy Ruben that does the economic update. They actually do a national snapshot. It's actually on our YouTube channel. I shared that whole channel, so you could go on to the Keller Williams at Large market updates monthly, and they will go into affordability a little bit more. He may have a better explanation of that, but that is right on our YouTube channel, which you should make sure you like, follow, and subscribe to your own office's YouTube channel. One thing I had a thought about the percent of list price received, right? And you're right, that hasn't moved. But again, like prices going up, they're still getting the same percentage of the sale price. So I think my question, maybe I have a question more than a comment. Do we still feel like sellers are overpricing, but still somehow they're getting 96% of it? So is the demand still there, even despite all the other factors going on?
it's a great question. I love that question. My answer would be the properties that are clearly overpriced are not selling. That's the inventory that's increasing. And so the people that are realistic. Now, also, this doesn't say initial list price. So you could drop. So let's say I list a property at 400K. It's getting zero attention. I end up at 300K list price. Someone walks in at 295. It sells for basically 99% of my list price, but it's actually 75% of what they had thought originally. So
gotcha. So so that's interesting. So thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, then that makes more sense.
Yep.
That little piece of information makes more sense then.
If I could chime in here.
Hey, Cher.
Hey. So my thoughts on that, if we're looking at the big picture, if you've been watching this year over year, you definitely were in a position now where you can see the shift even in these numbers, because before you didn't have a chance of buying anything unless you did pay 100%, if not a little bit more than the list price. So now the ones that are, as we watch the days on market, creeping up, whereas before it was 5 minutes, and now we're actually looking at 15, 30 days, 30 days before it goes under contract. Now that's showing that. And then as far as the list price, a lot of it just depends on who set the list price. Was it an experienced agent that did a true market analysis, current market analysis, showing the data, or was it an agent that really wanted the listing and they let the seller choose the price? So these are all things to look at, and right now I'm super encouraged for the buyers that are that are in the market right now looking at properties, and they actually have a shot at it. They don't have to just go blindly in with.
They have a shot, Cher, and they have some things to choose from too.
Exactly. Well, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff in every price range. I actually had I have a buyer for under 100,000. That was about 13 houses to look at. I had another buyer for, under 200,000. He had 15 houses he wanted to see. So yeah, that's great. There's actually something in every price range for people if you kind of know where to look and they're a little bit more realistic on what they want. Like I like to do nice, really broad searches. 3-bed, 2-bath, but I don't even put that in. I'm like, let's put in the budget and just see everything that comes up, because there might be something that, so I think it's being creative as well too, and just being able to pull more options in front of somebody to help them make a decision. So then people are able to kind of see a lot, compare it, and make a very informed decision because they're able to see so much. So that's definitely helpful. And I'm not really one that loves a buyer's market. I've always been a heavy listing agent, but I'm actually really enjoying the buyers right now. So it's been like a treasure hunt.
Last 2 data points on this graph. The interesting ones also, that inventory. So if you look at that, that's last October, we had 492 available homes. Now we've got 626. That's 27% more houses available for buyers to look at. That's that browsing the shelf at TJ Maxx. There's just more shirts on the shelf. And then our month's supply is 2 full months longer now from where we were a year ago. So we're
40% increase.
higher. Yeah.
But that's also the conversation now with the seller. Like, look, so over just the last month or so, inventory has gone up, exponentially. So we need to be priced where it makes sense because buyers have more options. They're going to be looking for the best deal. And if you're priced high, like Rich said, those are going to be the ones that sit. So this is why we like to do this. You know what your listing presentations and your conversations with sellers look like for the next 30 days.
Yeah.
Looks like a balanced market coming up.
It's getting there.
we're on a teeter-totter, and it's like,
So Cher, Jess and I mentioned this last month, and I don't think you were on the call, but we were discussing, because we have such a seasonal regional market, right? So typically we would reduce inventory in the winter. So we have this huge supply, and we have this high inventory right now. But I was just kind of asking what we think might happen over the course of the winter. We'll still obviously have our general dip, but if we're starting higher, does the dip? So is it the same, just a little higher, or does it dip down more? I'm just curious as to what will happen. And then more than the winter, I'm curious about the spring. My prediction is people, here's what I think is happening. If anyone cares, I think that all these listings are people that have waited probably 2 years, 3 years, thinking, I don't want to sell because my mortgage rate is great. Right. Yeah. And if I buy something new, it's going to be at this high rate. Well, now 6% is kind of the norm.
They can't wait anymore.
They can't wait anymore. So this is like the need to sell, or we've waited long enough. And I think that we'll have our natural winter break. But then I think spring of 26, if interest rates continue to creep down, I think it's going to be a big spring personally.
I have some thoughts on that, of course, here.
What are they?
Okay. So first off, there's nothing normal about our market. If you were back, you remember before COVID, it was like 10 months, 12 months. That was kind of normal to be on the market. That of course changed dramatically. And even today, I'm thinking that some of our seasonality in the area is also agent driven. Agents that are not working, agents that are holidaying, and they're just flat out not working. They don't want to go out in the cold. They don't want to go out in the snow. So you've got less agents that are actually working. I'm having a better October, November than I've had in a long time. And that's because I'm working. I'm usually floating around at NAR conferences or these other things. And instead we've been nose to the grindstone here working, because you gotta, even though the sun isn't shining as much, still gotta make hay when you can. So the other thing is, true that there are sellers that have finally decided to get off the sideline, and sellers who are being given the message from listing agents, the proper message that says, hey, you better go now, because if you wait till next spring, there's a pretty good chance you're not going to get as much as you would get now, because now we're into the winter. There's going to be the more, as the serious buyers, the ones that need to buy, not the looky-loos or the people the people that are out there, basically they're up here, they're vacation people, they got some time. Those people that just look, you have a lot more buyers in the market in the summer, in the nice weather. But right now, the ones that are coming out, they're the ones that are seeing opportunity, and they're ones that actually need that. So I don't think we're going to have like a super dip, and I don't think that the increased amount of inventory is going to be harmful. I think that it's just don't go holidaying, go to work, you'll make money.
Yep.
It's literally what we were just talking about with Jamie. Like, like right before we started the class, we were having that conversation, the agents that go to sleep. And I used to say to you guys every year and like plead with you, don't go to sleep. There's always people that have to move. There's always serious buyers. And I just got another new buyer like today, like someone from downstate contacted me. Hey, my buddy wants to buy something. He's ready to start looking. I'm like, it's Monday, Thanksgiving week. He's ready to start looking. Incredible. So they're out there. If you show up and you're working and you're ready and you're present, and you will be busy.
Right now, a lot of agents do go to, so the ones who don't are like, you can just get so much more business, and that's
100%.
Go nose to the grindstone right now. Yeah.
And if they're not busy now, Kaspar, what's going to happen is they're going to have a slower start to next year. And then you're going to start hearing some shit like, oh, the market's not good. We knew that the shift was coming. And then they're really going to go to sleep, and let them go to sleep. Don't help them. Go to sleep, honey. Don't worry. The 5 of us are going to be awake, and we're going to be working.
There's typically been a lot of very grouchy agents in my office when I had my own office. Come about February, March, grouchy agents because they're broke. That's because they went holidaying and
they went to sleep.
November and December. They didn't put everything you're doing. You got to figure that's like money. That what you do now. That's 3 months from now.
100%. I was just going to say that, Cher. Like your work you do today is when you get paid in February, pretty much. The contract you go into the day before Christmas, you'll get paid on that in March. That's your spring money already. So yeah, I mean, there is, again, for someone that takes this as a business, as a serious enterprise and wants to grow, take a couple of days off, but you can't take a month off and be like, I'm just going to chill out because I don't want to go outside in the cold. That's not going to be beneficial for your long-term growth.
No, put a jacket on, get some boots.
Yeah.
Suck it up, buttercup.
Still got my jacket on.
That's right. Stay warm.
All right. Excellent discussion. I will go into a couple of these in a tiny bit more detail on these. I'm going to shrink this down a tiny bit, a little bit more detail. So this is all just the same stuff we saw on that summary page. I do generally pick out a couple little trends that I see from these. So I'll just cover these quickly. And again, I can't see you guys, so just jump in if you have something to add or question. This is our new listings. Again, year to date, we were dead on. We're in a dead heat with 2024. So will November, December decide it? I don't know. But we're a dead heat for 2024. However, our October is better than last year's October. And if you look at these, this top stuff I've highlighted here, I don't know how well you see this, but I don't want to zoom in too far. But again, this is that seasonality, right? So last November, 100 listings. Last December went down to 50. And then January was okay. And then February was still 60 before we really got our spring bump. And then really the true bump came May, June, July this last year. So I'm just, I'm going to speculate, but I mean, we're looking at our September of 2025 was a 12% decrease in listings. So that already looked a little scary, but now October boosted back up. So maybe there's just no trend there to get too crazy about. I mean, we'll definitely have our winter quote unquote dip, but does it go down to 50 or does it stay in that 70, 80, 100 range? That's what I'm not certain about.
Just comparing the 2 years though, like just looking at the fall off in 24, into 25 and then to the prior year, right? So 49 to 70, 76 to 112, 59 to 106. Am I reading this correctly? This is 1 year apart. So,
well, yeah, what that's saying, sorry, yes, you're correct, Jess. That means like this, for example, means that February of 2024
correct
had 106 listings, whereas February 2025, we just started so slow this year.
Exactly. So it's just what we've been saying. And now at least we can see almost an entire year now and exactly what happened. But when you get to the bottom, tallies it correct. So that says 140 versus 143. So you see how it was allocated differently, but we basically did the same amount of units. Bonkers. So anyone that says they know when they're going to get what and it's cyclical, that's fine, but we have no idea when the market's going to sprout. We have no idea when people are all going to make this decision at the same time. So again, checking in monthly, checking in with people, staying in touch with, your leads, your database, keep your ear to the ground because who knows what's going to happen in 2026. This is so freaking bonkers. We have no idea. It could pop in February. It could pop in September. Like there's just it's just so all over the place. It's really interesting. It's actually really exciting because it feels like we might be able to have more impact on this. Like Cher said, the agents that stay awake, we might be able to actually impact this market more than we realize by having the right conversations, encouraging people when it is the best time for them to sell. They may not know it's the best time. So staying in those conversations and really thinking about helping people. Some people should wait. And then some people actually should sell today. So just knowing how to guide people properly, we're definitely going to be able to impact this market because it doesn't make any sense right now.
I think that's super well said. I think, right, what is the agent's job? Like, we should know the trends, we should know the data so that we're well informed, but that doesn't mean that every client should follow the data, right? Every client's needs are going to be their own. And so for some people, it might be, hey, let's list it in December, even though it's going to be blizzards because you need to sell. Perfect. Great. Some people, it might be like, we can chill out for 3 months and come back in March, and that's perfectly fine. So it's good to know the information, but that doesn't mean it has to guide everyone's decisions, or even your as an agent. It doesn't even have to guide your advice. Your advice should be what's best for the person that you're talking to.
We should have to take the Hippocratic oath like doctors, like do no harm. We should have to take one.
Yeah, every day.
Yeah, thou shalt not put your commission over someone's life.
We did see this trend all summer, Jess, where our pending sales were dropping, and we're still seeing it now in our October data. So we dived 20% in August, a little reduction in September, and now we're back to a big drop off in October. So our in contract momentum is a little slow, and that is, I know, like, anecdotally, Cher's busy. Anecdotally, some people are busy. I am seeing a little drop off in activity myself. So just something to note, that the data says that our in contract momentum is a touch on the low side. And again, if you look at those our 2024 winter numbers and our early 2025 numbers, we're not that far off that dip already at 82 in October. So just stuff to keep your eye on. And then what did I want to show? Closed sales. Again, we took a nice uptick in October, up 5% in closed sales, but Jess, our 12-month average on closed sales is down 10%, and our year to date, right there, we're down, almost 100 units. That's a lot. That's a lot of reduction.
I want to say, ouch. I know. While the inventory is coming up, right?
Yeah.
Yep, the sales are coming down. So yeah.
But I do like, if you look at this graph, this trend line has been super linear for this entire 2025. It's kind of fascinating. Just didn't have any of that, like,
just going straight up.
Yeah. Up and down business. Yeah. We did touch on how our prices are increasing. So our 12-month average is up 8%, and on median. Again, that means if you owned a house, you just got 15 grand richer this year. Like if you owned a 200K ish house. Kind of interesting.
Woohoo! Roll again.
And the average, again, I think the average has more fluctuation to it, but that average spiked big time. Our October was 340,000 average, which is unheard of for our region. That was a 30% spike. That has to just be a couple outliers, I swear to you. But still, our 12-month, we're up 12% on average. So beating the national trends by a fair margin. Most markets are seeing 2%, 3%, 1% price growth on average. So crazy. Inventory, a little deeper analysis on inventory. This graph on the bottom is a 11-year, 12-year trend line.
That's our flat line.
Jess and I were always joking about how this needed a resuscitation. And
Yeah,
it looks like we might have got that jolt.
There's little signs of life.
Yeah, but it's been up since June, up in July, up big time in August, up big time in September, and up even more this month. So that's a lot of trending in the positive direction for inventory. So that's, again, choice for buyers, maybe less price growth for sellers. At some point, it has to modulate, because if there's the basics of economics say that if there's a ton to choose from, you don't have to pay a ton.
Oh, supply and demand. But this is all the way back to 2014. It's been decreasing. And I know we had more of like a little, bleep, a little bit more of signs of life, but it's just going down for the last 10, 11 years. What does that mean? I'm like, what? What?
Well, actually, I'm going to show you when we get into the other articles. We'll come back to that.
Is it like there's just more homes in distress, so there's less inventory because maybe there's less? Because we're in such a. It's interesting living upstate, because I mean downstate too, but up here I feel like I feel the history of the area more. You have houses that are 100 years old, 200 years old, easily 250 years old. But those houses get decommissioned, they don't stay around forever. They're 100-year houses. So and people don't build as much, right? Which we've been talking about just kind of in other side conversations off of this topic, but people don't build as much and replace the inventory. So maybe that's because I don't know. Why is it always going down? Somebody needs to build something. That's what I'm saying.
Isn't the average people move every 7 years ish? I
Yes.
think in our area that I bet if you were to do that study just in like Otsego-Delaware County, I'll bet if you were to separate out maybe the second homeowners even, then I'll bet our local population stays put a lot longer than that national average. I just don't think there's that as much job relocation around here. I don't think there's as much like forced relocation. So I just think people are probably more stable state in their homes. Again, because this is ODBR data. This isn't national.
They just stay in their homes until the roof falls in.
Yeah.
And then nobody else can live there after that. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, so I mean, just kind of looking as business people too. Again, what's the average? How many real estate professionals actually own real estate, right? It's a super low, but being in a lower kind of dollar area, I think I was really sad when I first got here and they were like, oh, you know, we have the lowest prices in the entire company. I was like, hey, and then I was like, well, wait a minute. That means there's probably a lot of opportunity. If you scrape your pennies together, you know, and start thinking about fixing stuff, buying stuff, even if you just buy, hold, and rent, there's a lot of opportunity to get into the market as well for people, you know, first-time buyers. And I think telling that story is really compelling. And then again, tapping into that downstate money. Yeah, everyone downstate should have a country house. That's my goal. Everybody downstate should have a country house. And then maybe, you know, and it'll kind of bring more money in and more opportunity and just more things. I don't know. That was just a tangent I decided to go on.
It's been stayed that way because whatever we've had has been bought up right away, but people are still coming here. There, and then who knows with New York City what's going to happen?
So that's
more people are going to the city.
So that's a good point. So you're looking at the other side of it, like this is inventory being absorbed. This is inventory coming off the market. Yeah, that's a good point for sure.
If you can't, if it never has a chance to stay on the market, it's off just as quick as went on. It's went off. I mean, even now, if you put a decent listing up that's priced right, it's still under contract very quickly.
Yeah, it's gone. It's gone for sure.
It's gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting.
Ooh, so interesting.
It is. I'm excited. I don't want to go back to 2018, 2007. I don't want to go back there.
I don't want to go back to anything. Just keep forward.
Yeah, let's stick with this 340K average price point. Let's do that.
That's what people that are coming into the area. That's the price. That's a sweet price point for them. Mm-hmm. And usually $350,000 in our area is a nice house. You know, it's really nice, and in comparison to what they may have, as far as purchasing power, they've got the purchasing power for it, and they like that. So I know our average price went up a lot. You know, we're looking at, my team is looking at around about $250,000 price point, and we're over here in the affordable section.
Yeah, no, that's in the affordable section.
And
we're on the sale rack.
and it was 2 years ago. 2 years ago, we were $145,000 increase. I like that.
Yes.
I don't have to work quite so hard.
It's interesting. Well, one of the new buyers I have, he's from Brooklyn, and he had a $400,000 budget until we looked at something for $200,000, and he was like, "This is good enough." So like he literally brought his budget down $200,000 and is still able to find plenty of stuff to look at. I was laughing. I was like, "Yeah, you don't have to spend $400, bud. Like, let's get a deal."
So that closes out the ODBR data. The last one is just this month's supply. I don't want to beat that to death, but yeah, we've gone up all spring, all summer, and now August has given us a 41% increase from October 24. So anyway, 13% up on average for the year so far. We just talked about that ad nauseum. That's all I've got for ODBR data.